In the previous June-July transfer window, Kaizer Chiefs released 10 players. It's approaching again. And they could just release 5 more. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Bilo. I am your host. This is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs, Khosi Football Club. And we have 5 players whose contracts are coming to an end this season. But who could leave and who could stay? Well, let's talk about them. The first one being Pietermaritzburg Khune, our skipper, the most experienced player in our current squad right now. And the problem with Khune is that right now he's had injuries. Even this season, he was getting consistent game time and then he got injured again, which basically means now Vele, the conversation of him being number one should be gone because Peterson Vele has taken that role as number one with Chiefs. And Khune cannot be trusted to what is going to be fit for the entire season. That's not to say he's washed up and he can't be like a second goalkeeper to Peterson. But it's just to say, Uguti, will you then renew a contract keeper just because you want him to be second in line? Given Uguti how much money he will also be earning for the Chiefs. Because we know Uguti, these things of players earning that much money and yet you have another player earning this much money. And yet this player who's earning Imalengane is actually doing way more than this player who's actually up here. You get the logic. It's the same thing that was happening with Uplomu. The whole thing, Yoguti, there's ex-player who's doing this and there's another player who's doing that. But this player seems like they're getting more money. So it's all the dynamic again, Yoguti. If you're renewing a contract, even if it's a 1-year contract, maybe they can negotiate to cut the salary. But still, it still won't be like Uguti is now going to get 5,000. You get me? And this is not to say, hey, throw away Khune, because there is a way that Khune can still be utilized by Chiefs. He can just become a goalkeeper coach because we saw Uguti was attending classes already, transitioning into being a coach. Because Khune is a person who seems to have good vibes around the team, because even when he's sitting on the bench, you can see Uguti, he's invested in this team. I mean, how long has he been at Chiefs? It makes sense. He's invested. He gets happy when we score goals. Why would you not? He's just there. And you can see Uguti, he wants all that's best for the team. And why not just give him a role in functioning as part of our technical team? Because we've seen with our other players who've been good for us, they just leave. And then they can't even contribute. You have, oh yeah, now it's Amazulu. We have midfielders to not being able to pass. Why not bring them and make them a midfielder coach? You have Abanya Band, Abo Maximum Punyane, strikers who can come and be striker coaches, but they're just nowhere to be seen. And we can use Khune to become that person, also by goalkeeper coach who's been with Chiefs, who is good with distributing the ball and who has experience with the Chiefs, the environment and everything that is around the team. So he can still be useful to the Chiefs, but not as a player, but as someone who with technical team. So Khune, go but stay. Go as a player, but stay as a technical person in the team. Number 2 is Uhlanti. And I know someone will say, oh, Zotaga Hamp. No, I will not actually. I will start by just saying that I would keep Uhlanti. If you've been watching this channel, people are like, what? You would keep Uhlanti? Yeah, the reason why I would keep Uhlanti is simple. If Uhlanti goes, Chiefs has a lot of places that they still need to strengthen. And the left back is kind of one of those places. But then if you are also focusing on strengthening the left back position, then the question is, what about the defensive midfielder? What about a proper striker? What about another attacking midfielder? Chiefs is not going to spend all the good money buying a defensive midfielder. Again, good money buying an attacking midfielder. They won't do 3 big transfers in one season. So Uhlanti can still stay. I know Titloko is coming end of the season, and Uhlanti can still be like a reserve player, play Maguguti Udove, because I think once Titloko comes to Chiefs, Udove will be moved to a left back. And Uhlanti can become basically the second choice left back for the Chiefs. Or he can become a second choice or a center back playing if Titloko is taken out. Because what I've seen, Uguti, going forward, Uhlanti does not give us much. But he does give you average games at best. Because at times, Agazlis and Gwesinska, that's all you're asking for. Or as much as you're not giving me much, if you're just average at times, we need that. at times, because you know what you get. You are getting a player who's just gonna sit deep or sit and use experience to defend and not do much. So because of that, as much as kukhona ukuthi we have Mashiane, but Mashiane we've discussed in yakhe and his ability when it comes to defending. So I would keep Uhlanti maybe on a 1-year deal, and then maybe when we are approaching the following season, then he might go. But this season, I'll definitely keep him. I know some people are surprised. If you're enjoying this video, by the way, please do like it. It helps me to reach more people like you. So just like the video. Thank you. Moving on to Mlomo Wandao Matoho. Yeah, another one. Matoho hasn't played this season. Matoho is not the most comfortable player on the ball. Matoho is also 33. Chiefs is also signing about Ditlokwe. And based on my logic, then Uhlanti will be another centre back that will be added. There's still Ongobo who are not even playing. There's still Odube who might leave next season or might stay. And then you're like, Guno Aiden Makat as well from development. So like then Matoho, where does he fit in that whole system? Because it's just difficult for him to break into the team. And I know abalandeli nabathandi bakamatoho will say, Vele, you don't like Matoho, but come on, let's just look at those factors that we I've just mentioned and think ukuthi how will Matoho possibly stay with Chiefs. So he might be good with Stellenbosch still. He can go and play for Gallants. Gallants, they moved them to Bloemfontein. So he could go to Sekhukhune and play alongside Cardoso. They could just go and reignite their partnership with Cardoso with Sekhukhune. It's in Limpopo. It's closer to home. So he could just go there and play because he will still be a solid defender for other teams. But for Chiefs, unfortunately, it's time to go. Number 4 is Patu Nange. And Unange Shem is another one. When he's being played in our midfield as the Chiefs, you just don't see that arrogance. That's one always talks about Tuguti. With his players, with the people who are playing with Chiefs, he wants to see arrogance, a certain way of playing. But whenever Unange has played this season, you have not seen that. You just have not seen any of that Unange. And there is also once again that conundrum. Yoguti, where does he play? Is he actually a defensive midfielder? Which is not. He's an attacking midfielder. He's a central midfielder. And the Chiefs is playing these double pivots, 6, which is defensive midfielder, but you must also be comfortable enough on the ball to go and collect the ball, which you see Steb and Omar doing. Can Nange do that? Or better still, if he's an attacking midfielder, can he do what Umtu does? Run around, collect the ball, dribble people, make the right passes, and just make fancy passes? The answer is no. That's another just sad thing, Yoguti. Yes, he's a good player, but for Chiefs, it seems like we could just use him, or we can't even use him because he contract is coming to an end. So he's just one of those players who can just go and find another team. And once again, another player will go to Stellenbosch and be a good player for them, but not for the Chiefs, unfortunately. And Billiard. Kama. And we had a live stream about to come, but I wrote on my notes here, ukuthi vele equality kaKhama, you can't deny it, right? You just can't deny the fact that he's a quality player, right? He's a very good player. At the same time, he has a lot of injuries. Like, he has a lot of injuries. Ukama, he gets injured every season. And you can't have that, because he will pick up a form and play well for 3-4 games, and then he gets injured. Then what? Then we're left hanging, because we know there is an aspect. There is the way that Uzwana will plan as a coach. He will plan, Uguti, this is what I see for my team. This is what I see Kama doing for my team. But if he's always injured, then basically your point, your plan is in ruins, because the player that you are trusting to bring in that certain element in your team is never available for you. And he's turning 33 again this year, and his salary it's so high. It's going to cause those things again, a controversial Guti. Why is Kama getting more money than Umtu who's playing better than him? I know experience and blah blah blah, but still, I think Ukama naye is another player who can go to another team, even go Super Sport, and still shine. But Chiefs at this point, because unless he's played as a false 9, which he struggled a bit to play, because as the winger again, he will struggle because he needs to chase back and run up and down, up and down. Now people will say, why are you even having wingers chasing and running after the ball? Did you see Salah against United? He was marking at the back. And I'm using him because it's something that's trending this week. Ukuthi Liverpool beat United 7-0. And all these other midfielders and wingers, they come back, they track back, they mark, Masia move, they go forward, Masia Pambil. And that's the style of play that Zwane is using. So then if you're going to have a player who's not going to fit the style, why not force him to stay? Because it either is not going to adapt enough to play in the position that you want him to play, or he's just going to basically not have a place to play at all. Yabo. So Chelene, what do you think? So I think Kama should go. What do you think? Chelene in my comments. Thank you for watching. Share the video on your socials. And until next time, remember, equals Alpelumoy.